I get on. So, hi, I'm the canine behaviourist, Michael Wright. I pop up here periodically, always on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock pm UK time, and I talk about all things dogs. So, I talk about dog behaviour, any stories I see in the news on the internet related to dogs, um, and things that I might be able to comment upon and hopefully be helpful. So, today I want to talk about dogs and their impact on our mental health. You see a lot of this across the news, it pops up periodically. I've been convinced for a very long time that people that are struggling with their mental health, be they a veteran with PTSD or be they somebody who's experienced trauma, and are struggling to live happily, and are struggling with their mental health, I think they can benefit by having animals in their lives. Now, obviously, being a dog lover and being around dogs for most of my life, I'm a great believer that dogs can be of enormous health and enormous help. So I took this so far as, having talked with Sue, my better half, we set up a thing called Paw Support with the Walnut Tree. The Walnut Tree is a trust that helps. It started off helping veterans with their mental health problems, founded by a chap called Luke Woodley, a cracking chap. But they've expanded that, and they help anybody really with mental health problems. Now, Sue, who's a mindfulness expert, she said to me, "Why don't we combine what I do and mindfulness and look at whether we can help dogs?" And so we set up a thing called Paw Support. Now, Paw Support, actually, you should be able to see it on my screen. Let's try it again. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. So, Paw Support. Um, Paw Support aims to match up people with that are struggling with their mental health. This was particularly for veterans, and the idea is to find them a rescue dog that needs help, pair them up with a veteran that needs help and is able to cope with having a dog, and put them together. You know, a win-win situation really. So the rescue dog would have help from the veteran who needs some sort of support. These aren't support dogs. These are companion dogs. These are just dogs to have in your home to live with. So we match the two up. So I'd help them find a rescue dog that needs a home that's appropriate for them and their conditions, and we match the two together. The beauty of having a dog in your life when you're struggling a little is it gives you a focus. Um, and it gives you a reason to do things. So if you've got a dog, you've got to care for the dog, you've got to feed the dog, you've got to make sure the dog's happy, you've got to make sure the dog's exercised. So you get out and you're almost forced to get out into the world to some degree, where you can meet other dog owners, interact with people, interact with other dogs. These all have positive effects on the mental health. In fact, if we look at the Paw Support, I'll just scroll down a little bit here. That's a press release telling us about it. That's me and Ziggy, who's my rescue dog. There she is. And if we come down, there's Luke, the founder of the Walnut Tree. Good man, good guy. And if we come down, here we have Rory. Now Rory was, and you won't mind me sharing this, he was a RAF medic serving in Afghanistan, so he saw some pretty horrendous things, and when he came back, he thought he was okay, but he was struggling, and he happened to see a rescue dog being advertised on Facebook, funnily enough. I think it was from a rescue centre, a bona fide rescue centre. And he rescued this dog. Um, and there he is with his dog. That's Tramp. And I've met Rory at the Walnut Tree, and I asked him how he felt. And he basically said he felt as though Tramp had rescued him. It had given him a meaning in life, something to do, and a responsibility for another living thing. And he got a huge amount of pleasure from that, but also a sense of purpose. It forced him to go out and meet people. I remember meeting Roy for the first time at the Walnut Tree, and there were quite a few people there, something he would struggle with normally, but he was quite relaxed, happy to chat, and he put it pretty much down to having this dog in his life. Um, so there really is quite a lot to be said for it. Now, although Roy wasn't part of the paw sport, because I'd already done this, that's the principle behind it. It's matching people that need help and support from another living thing and are struggling to live in the world, and matching them with dogs. I I then went on to um, set up another arm to this. Really, it's exactly the same principle, but this is for canine companions, for everybody. So for civilians, if you like, so people that are struggling with their animals, um, and sorry, they're struggling in their lives with various mental health problems, be it PTSD or just stress or whatever the issue might be. Having a living, breathing creature in your home can be highly beneficial. So canine companions is the civilian arm of paw support, if you like. Now I know this works because I've met a few people. I met a lady who struggled to go out. She's funny enough was ex-RAF, and she just wanted a little bit of advice. So she wasn't really full on paw support, if you like. She'd already got a dog, but that's great. So I went to meet her and talk about her dog and how I could help. So I just gave her a little bit of advice. But she said to me, normally I wouldn't even go out of the house, and I certainly wouldn't go meet somebody in a park. I made sure I met this lady in a busy park where I knew there'd be lots of people, so she would be a little bit more relaxed meeting a stranger, me being a stranger, obviously. Um, but again, it struck me that there was certainly something in this, and it was certainly something that it was worth pursuing. Now, there are lots of organisations that offer service dogs. Now, service dogs are slightly different, although they are of great value. Service dogs are designed to actually help people with their lives. So they'll alarm if there's a problem with a person. They'll open doors, close doors, all sorts of things. So a service dog is slightly different. What I'm talking about is simply having a living, breathing creature in your life to help you and give you much needed support that you don't necessarily want from humans or struggle with to get it from humans, but dogs and other animals, other breeds, other types of animal, they're unconditional. So from the point of view of the person that's struggling with their mental health, they bring a dog in their life, they get purpose, they don't have to think about what the person thinks about them. It's not a worry. They just know that they now have another creature in their lives, and that creature needs their help and support, and in return the creature gives them help and support in a rather tacit way, in a very unconditional way, not really thinking way. Dogs particularly, they just do it, they get it. And dogs, when you're struggling, and you're feeling down or you're worried or you're stressed or whatever else is giving you issues, that the dog, they are so tuned to human beings and our emotions and our body language and the energies we give off actually, whether we're up, down, middling or whatever, they pick up on it. And they're very sharp and they're quite remarkable in that respect. So they can help enormously with people struggling. Now, don't just take my word for it. I I'm prompted to talk about this because I've seen various studies and lots of people writing about it throughout the world, but this particular study came across my desk a couple of days ago. It basically says human animal relationships and interactions during the COVID-19 lockdown phase in the UK, investigating links with mental health and loneliness. And the nub of this paper, and if you visit my website and go to the research and the resources page, there's a little section called research. I've got links directly to this so you can actually go and have a look at this if you're interested. And there's one or two other papers that I've noticed that talk about this type of thing, and I'll be downloading those and I'll be sharing them on my website as well. They're worth a look. Some of them may be a little bit too in depth, but if you're interested, they're just worth scanning, and you'll get what I'm talking about. So this paper basically says that people that have been feeling very stressed, be they suffering from PTSD or any other mental stressful type situation or condition, having an animal in the house and an animal to care for has really helped them. And that really supports the reason why I do paw support and canine companions. It works. Probably like all things, it's not the panacea for all ills. It's not going to help every single person, but there are a lot of people that will benefit from having an animal in their lives. People that have been suffering with stress, given the very stressful times we live in, they basically report that having a dog or a cat or a hamster or a budgie in the house again gives them something to think about and relaxes them. It brings their stress levels down. So it's a fascinating topic, and it's well worth considering. The interesting thing with this particular paper um, was that this isn't concentrated just on dogs, although there were a large amount of dog owners and a lot of women actually, some men, but there were quite a high proportion of women. Um, but across the board, they were all suffering some levels of stress because of the COVID, the lockdown, the stress of having to follow different rules and them changing frequently, all those sorts of things. So a very stressful time. Um, but these people, there's about 6,000 of them in the UK. This was conducted by the University of York and Lincoln. They actually found that having a pet helped. And as I say, the pets weren't all dogs, but there was quite a high proportion of dogs. I'm particularly interested in dogs, obviously, because that's the area where my expertise lies. Um, so I think that's all I'm going to say tonight. I'm not going to talk much more because that's pretty much the message I want to get across. So if any of you out there are feeling particularly stressed and actually struggle with your mental health and you don't know where to turn, well, first of all, seek advice, obviously, from the medical professionals, but think about whether having an animal such as a dog in your life you could cope with, and whether you'd be able to accommodate such an animal, and think about rescuing a dog, because it's a relationship, as I've said, I know I repeat myself a little bit, but it's a relationship that can be beneficial to you who are struggling and also the dog. So it's well worth considering. So I think that's probably about it. So I will post this to Instagram, I'll post this on Facebook, and onto Twitter and to YouTube. As I've said before, hopefully we'll get to a point where people tune in and maybe we can have some questions. I'd actually love to have one or two people contact me with behavioral issues that the dogs may have, and for us to do a live session on Twitch where we actually go through your particular case and situation, and I'll advise you live on what you can be doing so that people can see how we work and how they can be helped. And a couple of live sessions with a couple of real people would be great, I think. And I wouldn't charge you for that because you'd be helping me as well. But I think a couple of live sessions with a couple people that with real issues with their dogs, it could be beneficial to everybody. So I also, because of the lockdown situation, I prefer to visit people at home and to see their dogs live with their families. But unfortunately, that in these days, in the new normal, that's difficult. So as you can see on the screen there, I'm quite happy to do video consultations as long as I get videos of dogs' behaviour, and I take a good case study, which I have people filling online. I am able to do fairly good consultations and successful consultations via video. I've done a few of these now, and the people I've done them for have benefited, and it works. For further information about what I do, visit www.thecaninebehaviourist.co.uk. You'll see links to my various social media sites, be it Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. They're all on there, and I think that's it. So I know people haven't been watching live, but that's okay. I'm quite used to talking to the ether now and rambling to myself, as it were. But I would welcome any questions you may have. You can do that via the Canine Behaviourist Q&A on Facebook, or you can ask me questions directly on C Behaviourist, which is my Twitter name, or you can go on my website and just leave a question there. There's a question and answer section there, or you can just fill in the contact form. And if I can help, I will try to answer your question, and I will raise your questions live on Twitch as I do these fairly regular little discussions. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for watching this whenever you get to watch this. I will be back next week, and if I see things of particular interest in the meantime on the internet or things of interest, I will probably pop up at other times on Twitch to have little short sessions. Okay, thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing from any of you. Okay, until next time, bye for now.